He was the man behind the ass. He was the man that created a denim dynasty, forever altering the fashion industry. He was a dedicated family man who raised incredibly talented and good-looking children and even better-looking grandchildren. But Richard Leff had a dark side. A train hobby that forever altered his house, and an addiction to chocolate that forever altered his waistline. Get to know the man behind the partition in this special edition of Biography.
Nothing to lose.
Leads you to where you are today.
I believe in storytelling.
Gonna make you a star.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
We really got to know one another.
Hi, I'm Stephen Leff, your host for this very special edition of Biography. Tonight, a man who needs no introduction. That said, let me introduce our subject, Richard Leff. It is unclear if he was a poor sharecropper's son who never knew he was adopted, or if he was born a coal miner's daughter.
When I was born to coal miner's daughter.
What is known, however, is that Richard Allen Leff was born October 17, 1943, with slightly less hair than he has now. For those of you at home doing the math, that was a whopping 70 years ago. If the notes in his baby book are to be believed, Richard was an incredibly early walker and talker. Rob Barron, son-in-law and Richard fact-checker, explains.
According to the notes, Richard walked at 7 months and said, "Goody goody" at 8 months. Quite frankly, we think his mother may have been bending the dates just a bit.
For some reason, the Leff family made their home in the Bronx. Our investigators did not find a picture of their actual home, but we figured this was close enough. If you listen carefully, you can still hear traces of an accent. Richard was the oldest of 3 children. He had a brother, Harry, and a sister, Janice. At some point, the family moved to West New York, New Jersey. We're not entirely sure where that is, but we think it's somewhere near this city. They lived above the candy store owned by Richard's parents, Morton and Lillian. We don't have a picture of that either.
No doubt about it, this is when Rich became a real jerk.
A soda jerk. He made chocolate phosphates and lime rickies, which would have been more aptly named Lime Richies. Grandson Jonathan had this to say.
I can't believe they let that guy work around chocolate. He must have had a lot of missing inventory.
Like so many other wandering Jews through history, the Leff family left New York to pursue a better life elsewhere. Elsewhere turned out to be California, and the family immigrated there when Richard was 12, and probably just starting puberty. It wasn't long before Richard joined AZA. Turns out this is not the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, but is an organization for young Jewish folks. Outgoing, articulate, and a natural leader, Richard didn't just join AZA, he became chapter president.
Joining AZA was a big part of his life. He became a leader. Then he became active in B'nai B'rith Young Adults, started near Moravi, and best of all, he met me.
Let's back up. We don't want to give the love story short shrift. Richard joined BBYA, B'nai B'rith Young Adults, where he was incredibly active and well known. Rob explains.
He started the Ner Ma'aravi chapter, became regional officer, and got his face on the cover of TV guides everywhere. He went on to run the national chapter. Richard was the dude.
As the dude, Richard was in high demand among young Jewesses. One day, Richard received a mysterious call from Helen Snyder, mother of a young Jewess, who wanted her daughter Elaine to join BBYA so she could meet some nice Jewish boys. Daughter Michelle Barron explains.
Elaine Snyder was young, hot, and slinky. No dummy. Richard Elaine dumped his girlfriend and hooked up with, Richard and Elaine started spending a lot of time together, and they fell in love.
They got married a few months shy of Richard's 21st birthday. BBYA wanted him to become their international president, but as a married man, he chose to say bye-bye to BBYA. The young couple did what young couples do, and after a few years of marriage, Michelle was born.
I'm told that Dad was so horrified by my dirty diapers that he actually Lysoled my butt. And this from a man who would go on to build his career looking at butts.
Richard spent a lot of time with this little girl and taught her many of the important things in life, such as colors, with the help of M&Ms, how to roller skate, ride a bike, and tie her shoes.
I think I really knew my dad loved me when he shared his Atari Superman move with me. It brought our game playing to a whole new level.
He also had a son, Steve. Dad and I have always had a close relationship. Since Mom taught him to tell me when he's proud of me instead of telling her, he does that a lot. I'm so lucky to have such a great dad.
Dad always supported me in everything, but I have to say he was a bit of a chauvinist. I remember once when Steve was a teenager and we were driving by and he saw this really cool car, and Dad looked at Steve and said, "You could get lucky in a car like that." I don't remember him saying those kind of things to me.
Like his personal life, his professional career was also starting to take off. In 1971, he founded Dittos with partner Alan Kane. Soon, they were working out of 7 buildings in the San Fernando Valley.
Dittos continued to thrive, with a factory soon opening up in Louisiana and showrooms in New York, Chicago, Dallas, Kansas City, Atlanta, and LA. Satellite offices opened in Miami, Charleston, San Francisco, and Dallas. By 1976, sales had topped 32 million, which in today's dollars would be the equivalent to $5 billion gazillion dollars.
Starting the business took a lot of work. He once went like 6 weeks without a day off. Once they needed these huge rolls of fabric, he personally drove the semi-truck filled with the rolls from Georgia to the factory. Every day he called from a different state, but Texas took days.
Richard continued to break new ground in sales and advertising. With award-winning campaigns on the cutting edge of the industry, everyone had their eye on Dittos. Life was good. With homes in Hawaii, Palm Springs, and Los Angeles, the Leffs were moving on up.
Well, we're moving on up, to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up, to the east side.
But business success came with a price. The work was hard, the days were long, the travel was constant. The partnership grew strained. They sold the business, and eventually, the Ditto days came to an end. A natural entrepreneur, Richard found other outlets. He ran a video store, a train hobby store, and even bought a partition factory called Built Right.
When Richard bought Built Right in 1991, revenues were $260,000 per year. Less than 10 years later, revenues exceeded $2 million, and the company had grown from 4 to 25 employees.
Richard became a grandfather. His natural aptitude for sales were amazing when applied to childcare. Often, he was the only one who could get the kids to eat.
And he's still trying.
Then he started telling us stories. Grandpa had a knack for storytelling, unmatched by anybody. Listening to him was one of our favorite things in the world, and he always had us laughing our heads off as we spun around in the chairs in the living room.
Grandpa's a great storyteller. He tells stories about purple horses and eaters, and of course, the famous Grandma Pickle! And check out the plaster mountains of the model train set. He let us help him build it. What's gonna work?
Teamwork!
At 70 years old, Richard continues to go strong. This is thanks in no small part to medical science. He's a medical miracle, really. But also to his love of family, his humor, and his hobbies. Richard may have had problems with his heart, but if you wanted to sum it all up, you would have to say that Richard Leff is all heart.
Happy birthday, Grandpa!
Happy birthday, Grandpa. We love you, and you rock!
My earliest memory is hiding behind my parents because I was absolutely terrified of Grandpa's beard. It only took him a few minutes to win me over with jokes and colorful pictures and his own personal awesomeness. Grandpa, I know what animal you're thinking of.
Happy birthday, Richard. We love you. You're a great father-in-law, and next time we go out, I'll get the check.
Happy birthday, Richard. Thanks for being such an awesome father-in-law. Mwah!
So when the host of Biography called me up to do this interview, we were both more than a little alarmed at how similar we looked. He even had the same name. Anyway, Dad, I don't know how many other Stephen Leffs there are out there, but I can speak from my own experience when I say how lucky I am to have a father like you. You have always been and continue to be a role model for me. And now that I have my own daughter, I find myself wanting to raise her the same way you raised me. I never understood why you needed me to hold flashlights or when you fix things or to run and get tools for you, and I hated it. But now I'm so thankful for those moments, not only because I'll soon be able to make Alice do those things now, but in so doing, I'll be teaching her the values that you taught me, that I unwittingly learned from you. How to be independent and strong and think for herself. These are the values that you taught me, and those are the values I'll be passing on to this next generation. And so it goes. So happy birthday, Dad. When you hit 80, maybe we'll do another video. Maybe. These are a lot of work.
My dad taught me all the big things in life, how to swim, how to drive, how to tie my shoes, but I don't think he realized how much of the other things and the more important things he taught me too. Watching Dad with my kids taught me how to be a better parent. He reminded me to be creative and patient and fun at times when I just wanted to tell them to get stuff done. And he also taught me a lot about chivalry. Dad's the guy who we'd go to a bar mitzvah and they'd start the hora and the chair wouldn't be out. And Dad is always the guy who would go and get the chair and just make it seamless without being asked and without being told. He'd just do that. So sometimes I'm told I have high expectations of other people, and I think that's because my dad taught me to expect the best in people.
I don't know how I was so smart at 17, but somehow I met Richard, and he's made my life. Michelle once said, "Mom, are you in love with Daddy?" And I went, "I don't know. Are you in love with your arm or your leg?" He is a major part of me, and I can't imagine what my life would have been had I made a different choice.
Well, that does it for this edition of Biography. Next week, we look at the controversial practice of training infants for cow riding events in rodeos. Is that right? Okay, they're telling me that's right. Anyway, for Biography, I'm Stephen Leff. Good night. That's right. You're so good.
Go, Alice, go! Yeah! Casey?